Welcome to Artemis Oracle and Tarot, a sacred space for seekers on the moonlit path. Here we hold space for complexity and honour the intuitive, the unseen and the in-between. The cards that I use were designed by me and they feature divine masculine archetypes to assist with introspection and healing. We all have a relationship to masculinity regardless of our gender identity or sexuality. So if you've arrived here, know that you're welcome and there's a place for you. Hey Gemini, welcome back to Artemis Oracle and Tarot. This is your November reading, November 2025. And I'm doing something a little bit different today. I decided to meditate and do some free association on your energy, just to help me get in the vibe. And yeah, some things came up and I think they might be relevant. I haven't pulled any cards yet, but yeah, it's just, I think, part of my creative process to get in your vibe. So it started out, it seemed silly at first, thinking about Gemini, and the word gem came up, and I know, not groundbreaking, and, you know, thinking of gems, like they're of value, they're of beauty, and then I drew the eye, and what came to me was seeing things, and then I drew those arrows back to of value and of beauty, and then that thinking of like gem and eye got me thinking kind of third eye and like perhaps seeing things that others don't. And then like I wrote gem in eye, and that just kind of got me thinking of pineal gland. Maybe there's some sort of kind of third eye awakening that's coming for you, but that's what I got in your energy reading for November 25. And yeah, let's see. I'm open to what else comes up in the cards for you today. But I thought that was an interesting exercise. It's a red book. It was totally random. It was just sitting in my drawer here, that it's a red book as well. So, all right. Let's, without any further ado, light some incense for you and see what the cards have to say. This is Dragon's Blood incense, which seems potent for a spiritual or third eye awakening. We will be doing a different spread this month. I'll be doing a simple Celtic cross spread with you, with a slight tweak in that it's going to be an integrated spread, by which I mean it uses both oracle and tarot cards inside. And the oracle cards kind of provide the overall thematics of the reading, and then the tarot cards that are surrounding will illustrate, I guess, how the factors kind of play out around it. So this spread takes me a little bit longer to prepare, so I will do some shuffling and setting up, and then I'll be right back to take you through your reading. That's all done now. So let me explain a little bit about the spread and the cards, each of the positions, what they mean, and then we'll reveal them together and kind of go through your reading. So in the center here and with the card on top of it, these represent your current situation and the energy that's challenging or the energy that's supporting. It really depends on which card is on that position, and also you know, as it relates to like whether the cards are upright or reversed. Down here is the foundation upon which the situation is kind of stemming from, or like a past influence. In the left here, we've got like the immediate past. So, you know, what has happened just prior to the current situation. Up here in the top, we have the likely outcome. And I like to kind of think of, I guess, these more timeline-driven tarot readings as, you know, this is the outcome that's likely if no change is made. Because I tend to use tarot as a tool for introspection. My personal view is that if we identify something in a tarot reading, then there's still the opportunity for us to make choices and changes that can impact that likely outcome. And then over here in the right, we've got the immediate future. So this is, you know, what's likely to happen, you know, as we kind of move forward from this particular situation. So without any further ado, let's start turning over the cards and see what's in store for you, Gemini. Okay, so you've pulled Thor in the current situation, and Thor is about focused intent, righteous anger, and justice. And, you know, Thor also wields like a mighty hammer, and he can channel sort of lightning through it. And lightning travels through like charged particles in the air. So it seems like there's kind of some fire coming into your air is kind of what I'm intuiting like at this point from that card. And you may feel like really focused at this point in time. You may also have like a sense of anger within you over something, perhaps the way you've been treated, perhaps something that's happened, and you're seeking justice. In the challenge, you've pulled the Shiva card, and he was upright. And Shiva speaks to shadow integration, spiritual transformation, and ego death. And it's interesting, with the analogy I just gave about how lightning moves through particles in the air, and I spoke to some fire. Shiva, you know, literally transforms using fire. It's, you know, it's what burns away that which is no longer necessary, or that which is no longer serving us. And as it relates to, you know, being in the challenge position, I see it as a positive challenge, right? Because with what Shiva burns away, there's always the promise for renewal, and it creates the space for new growth. But yeah, when you're in the thick of it, transformation is never comfortable. It requires us to look at parts of ourselves that, you know, may be problematic or may be difficult to work with. And it requires us to see them with compassion, understand where they're, you know, from where they've arisen, and then also radically accept them. All of which is challenging, to say the least. So I think if we look at the two in combination, what I'm getting is that there's been quite a significant kind of internal focus, and you're at a point now where you're ready for that internal focus to be felt externally as well. I get the sense that there's been like quite a prolonged period of introspection and, you know, sort of wandering within, as I like to say. And now you're kind of ready to shed that skin and step into the world in a way that brings, you know, a more authentic version of you that perhaps you felt unsafe bringing to the world before now. All right, let's look at the foundations of the situation and see if that helps us clarify any more. So you've pulled the Hierophant here in reverse, and yeah, I mean, the Hierophant kind of speaks to the structures that we've built, I guess, our identity on. It can also refer to actual kind of traditions and structures like religion or establishment, like organizations, law, that kind of stuff. And with it being in the reverse like that, it's kind of like a dissolution of that. And it's interesting because, like, if you take the psychological perspective, which is what I typically run with on this channel, you know, the Hierophant in reverse can represent like ego death, and that's exactly what Shiva's about, like in your challenge. So I'm going to say that you've likely been experiencing a period where you've kind of been questioning almost everything about who you are, what it means to be you in the world, and kind of feeling your way through like the, I guess, intense feeling of discomfort that accompanies that, because, you know, as children and as teenagers and young adults, we kind of build a frame of the world that kind of allows us to like participate in it, but it's a really simplified model of like the actual thing. You know, it's typically built on binaries. It's very grey. It's very black and white. And that model of seeing the world and indeed of seeing ourselves, it can't persist into adulthood unless we want to have a really polarized view of everything. And polarization doesn't really deal well with like subtlety and you know, intricacy, because if it's not one thing, it has to be the other thing. And that's what creates challenges in society, is when, you know, you take that dichotomy of like polarization and then you also apply on top of it, you know, an education system that implies if I'm not right, then I'm wrong, and nobody wants to be wrong. So what I'm getting here is that you've dissolved all of that, and you've been kind of living in this state of discomfort as you rebuild the scaffolding of living in the world, one that is much more open to the spectrum of existence, but also therefore requires a lot more time spent with kind of wrestling with, you know, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our desires, and weaving that into a worldview that we can kind of exist within. All right, in the recent past, you've pulled the Queen of Pentacles here, also in reverse. And the Queen of Pentacles speaks to like a feminine energy that is nurturing and receptive and abundant in the qualities of, I guess, that which can provide sustenance or abundance in terms of like materiality. And I guess in reverse, I'm getting a sense that you've been through a period recently where it's felt like perhaps you've been disconnected from abundance, or perhaps, you know, like in a more like realistic sense, perhaps, things have been tight, and, in the world that we live in, with cost of living being what it is, who isn't money tight for? But yeah, I get the sense that, even as it relates to like manifestation, perhaps you felt that your ability to manifest has been cut off. You haven't been able to translate, what it is that you picture in your mind into like your practical kind of and everyday sort of reality. And I think that that makes total sense if you've kind of been in this process here of realigning your internal sense of identity, because manifestation really, it requires us to have a really solid basis of like from which we're kind of manifesting, and that largely depends on having a really, I guess, solid sense of identity. And I think one of the challenges with all of the air signs, but in particular with Gemini, is you may have a sense of identity that is more mutable, it's more changeable, it's more given to quick flexes in different directions that to others may seem unusual, but to you is just your first nature. And I think that if that kind of aspect of your identity isn't well integrated, then it can absolutely block or create challenges with you in terms of manifestation, because you may have a sense that there's something negative about having that type of identity. And I think that's largely because, the world likes to, kind of portray air signs as frivolous or flighty or overly intellectual, easily kind of distracted. And these are really unhelpful and negative, I guess, representations of air signs who are intellectually nimble and able to see connections that others aren't, like came up in your energy reading before. And when you embrace these qualities, you're much better able to manage, I guess, perceptions around them as being like negative. And you're also going to feel a much stronger sense of cohesion that will then support your ability to bring into the reality, the things that you picture in your mind. And so I think a lot of Geminis may also have like clairaudience or, really distinct kind of aspects of their identity. If you're familiar with internal family systems from like a psychology perspective, where it can feel like a fractured kind of sense of identity. And I just want to assure you, it's perfectly normal. We all have a whole array of parts within our internal psyche, and it doesn't make you strange or any less capable than anyone else. In fact, I think it's a real strength, because that multiplicity, it's like a gem. It's like a gem in your eye. Anyway, it's just what's coming up. All right. In the likely outcome, you've pulled the Page of Swords here in the reverse. And yeah, this is the Page of Swords, in my view, is one of your cards, Gemini. They're the seeker of truth. They use, their sword to cut through, illusions, to cut through duplicity, and to reveal the truth. And, as you'll recall, I said, like, this is the the likely outcome where nothing changes. And I think so that's saying like that integration work that I'm talking about, if you don't do any of that, then that will lead to like a Page of Swords who isn't at his best. He'll take his sword and he'll direct it inwardly. He will, assume that he's not seeing the truth, that he's seeing illusions, and it will, it will affect his ability to play his role, which is, youthful and a messenger of ideas ultimately. And so, I think it's about that integration work for you. I do see in the immediate future with the Seven of Wands here in reverse, that there's going to be like a calming down of things. The Seven of Wands kind of speaks to like kind of triumph, but also like that there's been unexpected kind of conflict, and with the Seven of Wands in reverse like this, I'm kind of getting a sense that these conflicts that you may have been experiencing are coming to an end, or they're no longer going to hold the power over you that perhaps they have held until now. And if we read this in line, I think that that's where the transformation is the key, right? Like it's bringing that new wisdom into the world, because with that new wisdom, we're able to balance, the page. We're able to manifest from a place of confidence and stability. And that's really the bedrock of being in the world in a way that feels comfortable and regulated. Now, when I was selecting your cards, there was a leftover card, which I always put over to the side if it's just one or two cards. And I'm going to use it to clarify the likely outcome. And you've pulled the Chariot here, which, it's just an incredible card to clarify that, because the Chariot speaks to when our mental when our mental, I guess, identity is in balance with our embodied identity, or I guess you could say when your heart and your mind are aligned, how that creates a sense of forward momentum that's almost unstoppable. But it only happens when that balance is hit, right? And I think all that we've been talking about right up until now has been kind of leaning into that idea of, doing that inner work so that you can then bring that newfound sense of yourself into the world. And what I'm getting here with the Chariot for you, Gemini, is that once you're done with that work of introspection and you're ready to step into the world, nothing's going to be able to stop you. You're going to be incredible. All right, that's all I've got for you for the month of November. I hope you enjoyed that slightly amended format. I certainly enjoyed doing the reading for you, and I will see you back here in a month. Well, that's all I've got for you this month. So thanks again for tuning in and watching. If you'd like to learn more about the cards, read the profiles of the divine masculine archetypes and more, you can do that all on my website, and the link to that is in the video description below. Some insights take time to emerge, so sit with the messages and use your discernment to determine what's for you and what to leave behind. Feel free to leave comments below. I love hearing your feedback on what parts resonated. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss your next reading. You might also consider checking out your moon, rising, and Venus signs for additional insights. Until next time, allow the moonlight to reveal your way and trust that you're on the right path. This is Artemis Oracle and Tarot. Divine what can't be seen by day, and behold, with new perspective, that which stalked in the night. See you in the next one. You've been watching Artemis Oracle and Tarot, a sacred space for healing for those on the moonlit path. Join us here on YouTube for monthly tarot readings by astrology sign and deep dives into the imagery and symbolism used in the making of our unique Artemis Oracle and Tarot decks. If having a space to work through the unpleasant but necessary parts of adulting sounds good to you, like and subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on Instagram so you never miss a beat. All links are in the description below.